Hello everybody, I'm Storm here. Welcome back to Kerbal Space program. In the last episode, we landed our lander on Moho, collected our science, planted our flag, did all those good sorts of things, then took back off and were able to get rendezvoused back with the longbow. Had to use the longbow itself to actually do the rendezvous. Docked up and got the crew back on board. So that is all good. And after that, I went ahead and started doing some experiments with how I might be getting the longbow back home. And there is a bit of an issue. That issue is that no matter what I can come up with, I don't have enough Delta V to get back. And by a significant amount, by like a couple of thousand meters per second Delta V. There was a comment in the last video that I could probably have done the rendezvous a bit more efficiently and saved myself a couple of hundred meters per second, which is true, but I would still have this same problem. So, yeah, that's going to be a bit of an issue, but I have an idea how we may solve it. But first things first, let's go ahead and get out to the longbow and take a look at things. And we'll start the process of getting it back home, because there is a bit of a process we're going to have to go through to get back home. Alright, so let's go ahead and fly. Alright, so here we are. Actually, no, I'll keep the maneuver planner open because I've been using it to just run through our maneuver nodes, because it's more efficient to use that. But at this point, it really doesn't matter too much. So, go ahead and begin the process of getting home. What we want to do is we want to launch ourselves away from Moho in such a way that it moves us forward in the orbit, which adds energy, which elevates the orbit. But right now, I just want to get enough to escape and get us into interplanetary space so we can begin then working on what it is we're going to do. So let me add a maneuver out here. We're just going to go ahead and thrust this direction. And that will push us. I think it's actually going to push us a little bit further off the plane if we do it that way. If I flip that around like that, it'll lower us a little bit. So that will actually help. So that's what we're going to go ahead and do. We're going to do our maneuver there. And let's go ahead and tell it to execute the node. And just let it do its thing. It's only going to be a 2-minute burn, so not too bad. If I look at this, and we go from Moho to Kerbin, and we plot it, total Delta V that we're going to need is 5,366 meters per second Delta V. We only have 3,104 meters per second of Delta V. So, bit of an issue. Now, what I can do is we can do Eve. Eve has an ejection delta V of only 1,300 meters per second. Actually, let me just check something. What is the ejection delta V is... Yeah, that's if we had an optimum ejection angle, which... I don't know. But if we go to Eve, we can get to Eve a lot easier, as I was saying. So what I'm going to do is use Eve as a gravity assist. To push us into a higher orbit, which I did experiment with off screen, and it still isn't enough to push us to a high enough orbit to achieve a rendezvous with Kerbin. We're still always short a bit of delta V, like around 1,000 meters per second. So, what we're going to do is I'm going to launch and fly out to Longbow a refueling mission, an unmanned refueling vehicle to dock up and refuel Longbow, and also probably bring some more life support supplies as well. I mean, we have 3 years worth of life support available, so we got plenty of time on the life support, so that's not really a problem. But, you know, it can't hurt. So after we do these maneuvers, I'm going to go ahead and work on that. Because I do want to recover. I mean, one of the ideas I had was to, you know, if I could at least get an encounter with Kerbin, I could either, I mean, if I had enough fuel left, I could transfer fuel into the lander, because the lander by itself is much more efficient on its engine, so it gets a lot more bang for its buck per unit of lithium. So, you know, transfer the fuel to the lander, detach the lander, have the lander perform all of the capture and landing maneuvers, you know, re-entry maneuvers. But even still, it just wasn't enough to even get there in the first place. And the other option would be to, you know, if I could get the encounter, to put the trajectory inside of Kerbin's atmosphere and basically dispose of the longbow as basically a giant heat shield. Again, not ideal, not something I would want to have to do, but, you know, it was something I was considering. But I think this presents a better option, because it'll allow us to recover the vehicle and use it as what I was originally intending to use it for, which is to sort of dismantle it and use it as parts. And use its engine block as another tug. Alright, so there we go. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is warp us out to escape. There we go. Slow it down. And let's take a look-see. Oh yeah, these things overheat because it's transferring heat to these radiators, which I'm going to go ahead and just turn them off here. We don't need to use those. Now, no, those reactors are off. I saved those reactors. Okay. Good. Okay. So just as a demonstration here, if I set Kerbin as a target, and then I created a node to say, what's the optimal transfer window? We're short by quite a bit. By like 1,000 meters per second. Alright, so let's set Eve as a target and create the node. Okay, so that's 2,200 meters per second of delta V, which we have. We have 2,800 available. And what I'm looking to do with Eve is not only elevate the orbit. Wow, that's... No. This is an impact trajectory. I remember this. I'm seeing it going, oh, great, yeah. It's looking like we're going to get a really good assist off of this. And then when I go actually look at it... There's the Sun, Moho, Eve. You go and look at it, it's an impact trajectory. That's why you're getting so much gravity assist off, because you're basically falling into the planet. Not going to work. Not going to work at all. Okay, so... let's start messing with the maneuver node. See, that's coming in this way, right? Yeah, that's not necessarily what I want. The node is a bit hard to deal with here. Okay, so what's that? Okay, no. That's still coming the wrong way. Can I manipulate how this is coming in? Let's see, we want to get there a bit sooner, right? Okay. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're talking. Nope. That's not what we want. So now we're way off the plane. That doesn't really work. Alright, let me recreate the node again. Alright, if I were to say... Okay, I think I can use this little thing right here. If I were to say, whoa. No, we're only still coming in from the same direction. This thing's like really sensitive. Yeah, let's lower the sensitivity on that. Maybe a bit more. See, what I would like to do is have it I really want to sit here and you know, mess around with maneuver nodes all day. Does that put us in a better situation? No. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to actually get a better orbit. Okay. So what would it take to match planes with Kerbal? 1,400 meters per second on Delta V in 99 days. I don't think that's a terrible idea. Alright. The gravity assist off of Eve was an interesting idea, but I don't think it's actually going to work. So let me actually head back to the Space Center, because we need to start designing the refueling vehicle that is going to rendezvous. Alright, but first thing I want to do is check the other unmanned probes. How long do you have? 364 days till the ELU probes maneuver. And the Joule probe? You have 2 years and 38 days till you get to the Joule encounter. Okay. So, still lots of time. Alright. Now, I have 2,300 science that is available. Now, what are our options here? I get the advanced plasma propulsion with new magnetoplasma dynamic engines that have a lot more thrust. But they require a lot more electric charge. 3,000 per second. Pulsed inductive thruster. Okay, those again are low thrusts. High specific impulse. A lot less charge needed. Lithium tank and new lithium tanks there. What I really need are better reactors. 3,000 EC per second, 6,000 EC per second, 2,000 electric charge per second in a better form factor. Power distribution unit, another nuclear reactor, 1,000, 4,000 electric charge per second. That's what we're going to get. We're going to get that. And I don't have enough of this. Advanced electrostatic thrusters. No, that's not what we're going to use. Advanced unmanned tech. New antenna, remote guidance unit. You know what? That's not a bad idea. Let's grab that. Large probes. Communitron. That's not a terrible idea either, but I can't afford it. High performance fuel systems. Hydrogen tanks. Nanolathing. Improved nuclear propulsion. Atomic rocket motor. Eel. Neptune. Trimodal atomic rocket motor. Okay. What does it use as fuel? LH2. Okay, so it uses cryogenic fuels. Medusa nuclear pulse engine. 0.1 kilonewtons. Orion nuclear pulse engine. No, I don't think that really helps me much. Experimental nuclear power. There's really nothing there. I don't have any mods that utilize those techs. So that's the best reactors we're gonna get. I really would like nanolathing. But I think we're just gonna have to hold off for now. We're going to have to use the engines that I have. Okay. So, first things first. We need a reactor core. I would like 6,000 electric charge per second. That could really work for me. Or I could do a stack of 2 for 4K. Or I could do this one for 4K. Which is about the same size as a stack. Well, actually, it's a little bit bigger. What about mass? 17 tons as opposed to 18.4 tons. Okay. And how heavy is this? 23.8 tons for 6,000 electric charge per second. Okay. Overkill? Perhaps. Maybe 4,000 electric charge per second. Okay. How much cooling? 5,000 kilowatts. Okay. Now this should be fairly straightforward. What I'm actually going to do here is... No. I mean, that could work. Because this can support 4 of our best magnetoplasma dynamic engines, right? Which gives it double the thrust. But again, we got a lot of mass sitting here. What was it, like 17 tons? How heavy was the Prometheus? 8 tons. So 2 of those would be 19 tons. Okay, so yeah, that's definitely better. If you can call it that. Alright, you're 3,000 EC per second. 3,000. That's the same diameter. Well, that's the thing about how this thing is going to dock. I want it to be fairly narrow. Alright, let's see. What kind of structural elements could I put in here? I think that's probably what I'm looking for right there. Okay. What is our largest lithium tanks? I think this is the largest lithium tank I have. $2,200. Yep. Okay. So if we go with more structural, like this. Okay. And then we do a stack of these lithium tanks. What kind of delta V do we get? 5,000. Okay. It needs to get there. I only have enough delta V to get there, but have enough remaining fuel to supply the longbow. Alright, let's see. This is going to be the emergency refueling vehicle. Okay. Let's save it. Let me leave the vehicle assembly building here. Where are the better lithium tanks? Argon tank, argon tank. Container tank. There. Need 1,800. You know what? I'm going to get an annihilating. Because I think it has something in here that I want to use. Okay. Rather than using this stack, okay, let's go to structural. If I remember correctly, I think I've used these before. Well, not in this series, but on my own before. Octogirder modular truss. Yes. And then if I put like that on there, right? And then we select the subtype and say lithium. 13,433 meters per sec delta V. Will it be enough? There's a question. Will it be enough? Because it's got a rendezvous, and then it's probably going to bleed off half that to do the rendezvous. I can grab these. Is that a good idea? Sure, why not? Okay, and then what I can do is throw some life support on here. 2.5 meter life support tank. And then what we're going to need is we are going to need another adapter. Structural. Another adapter. Adapt that down. And do I want the telescoping? Do I want the telescopic clampetron? Perhaps. Yeah, let's go with it. Okay. Alright, now this thing needs actually a few more pieces in order to work. It's going to need a remote guidance unit. It's going to need a battery stack somewhere. I actually can do that. We're going to use another octagirder segment. Let's see. You? Yep. And then your subtype is going to be... Oh, no, wait, you can't. Cancel. Hollow saddle open. Huh. Okay, I guess I can't. This one? Okay, yeah, you can. I could do support, which is a bunch of batteries and monopropellant. But now we're just getting ridiculous. This thing's 63 tons. It's 63 tons. Am I going to be able to build a rocket that can launch this thing? I don't think I need anything that large. Let's see. A couple of batteries like that should be fine. It's going to need some sort of RCS, which actually I'm going to use the magnetoplasma dynamic RCS. That's a big, heavy piece of equipment. It might be worth throwing some additional thrusters on there. Okay. Don't know how stable that'll be, but it is. Now we need to deal with heat. We need to deal with the heat. We need what? What was it? 5,000 kilowatts? There's 1,000 kilowatts. What do those things look like extended? Okay. But they don't rotate. Or do they? That should work. It should be 5,000 kilowatts. Alright, well, we can test it. Oh, I know I need an antenna. I'll need a couple of antennas. I'll need a basic, short-range communitron. And we're going to need our best long-range antenna. Let's see. Just put a couple of those on there. Alright, excellent. What I also will probably do is throw some photovoltaic cells on here just to provide power to the No. I would like 4 of those, please. There we go. To provide power to the control unit. That should be fine. Alright, let's save it and let's put it on the pad. Oh, first off, I need to do action groups. 2 is going to be toggle the radiators, and 3 is going to be toggle the reactor. Alright, there we go. Save, and put it on the pad. We need to make sure that the reactor won't overheat. And then I'm going to need to figure out how to build a rocket to get this thing into orbit. This monstrosity. I mean, this thing is as big as some rockets I've built. Okay, so 2, extend the radiators. 3, start the reactor. And we're good. We're good. Excellent. And those do rotate. Okay. Perfect. Cover the vessel. Bring it back in. Okay. Here comes the next challenge. Okay. .25 meter stacked decouplers. I need 4 of those, please. Okay. And then on the structural side of things, I need another one of those adapters. 1 of them. There you go. Okay. Payload, I need the largest fairing base you've got. Okay, there we go. Now, do I want this upper stage to be controllable? There's a question. Alright, the biggest tanks I've got. You guys. Alright, what kind of engine? We have that one. Thrust to weight on it is... This is 2.26. That's surprising. What's its vacuum specific impulse? 310. We want to go to our 5-meter parts. No, we don't have any 5-meter parts yet. Well, we have these 5-meter parts, but we don't have any 5-meter tanks or engines. Okay, so these are 0.91. Yeah, that's not going to work. 2.26. I'm really surprised. 1.3. 340 vac. (2,000 meters per second). This gets 1,800. You know what? That one's fine. Stacked a coupler. There we go. And tanks. Biggest tank. Couple of those. Best engines we got. You guys. Okay. Still not enough. Alright. Let's see what we can get. Radial decoupler, ejection force 850. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Let's go with 4. Do I want to go with solid rocket boosters? Do I want to go for Thors? Thors would be interesting. That would get us up to 4,200 meters per second. Initial burn of 60 seconds. They're basically unsteerable at that point. Do I have a better option? Perhaps. I don't think those are going to cut it. Do I have any larger versions of those? No. Not as yet. What if I were to use these? With there's actually a fuel tank that has engines built into it, I think. Or is it an engine that has a fuel tank built into it? No, it's not that. I thought it was classified as a fuel tank. Maybe I don't have it unlocked yet? I thought I've used it before. Oh, there it is. That's a tad ridiculous. I would prefer that way. But you know what? We're going for ridiculous. So let's do it. We're going for ridiculous. Alright, aerodynamics. We're going to need a big old nose cone. Not big enough. Too big. Still too big. There we are. Okay. Hopefully that ejection force is going to be sufficient. Actually, what I might want to do is move this up a little. No. That's not actually on the decoupler. Alright, now it's on the decoupler. I move that up a little bit. Yes. Okay. And let's bring it a little bit closer to the ground. Let's get the launch clamps on it. Make sure staging is good. You guys go first. Then you detach. Then you fire. Then you detach. Then you fire. And then those detach. Alright. We now need the fairing on here. There it is. There it is. Now, can this beast get to orbit? I'm pretty sure that it can. Let's see. Probably we'll want those to fire sometime after that engine ignites. Just guessing. The other thing I'm going to do here is give this a bit of reaction wheel control there to help during ascent. So I don't want to be firing on the RCS thrusters. Alright. Let's launch it. And what I'll probably do is we'll just go ahead and get this thing to orbit, and then we'll end the episode there. And then I'll take care of probably all the maneuvers to get this thing on a rendezvous with the longbow, because those are almost certainly going to be extended length burns. And I am going to be using MechJeb for this launch because that's the best chance of getting this thing into orbit. Ascend guidance. Or maybe I should try to fly it manually. You know what? We're going to fly it manually. Alright, let's light this candle. Okay. I probably should have looked at those thrust to weight ratio numbers. What's our thrust to weight? 1.19. I mean, it's greater than 1. So we pretty much go straight up until we can get those guys to separate. Just a little bit. Time to apoapsis is still increasing. Start bringing this thing over now. Thrust to weight is 1.95. Thrust to weight is now 1.5. Apoapsis height is at 30,000 meters. Time to apoapsis is increasing. $40,000 meters on apoapsis height. Yeah, I definitely want to start getting this thing giving me some horizontal velocity here because we got plenty of altitude now. Plenty of altitude. And I'll need to start getting that thing over. $70,000 meters. 78. 79, 80,000 meters. Alright, so we have enough altitude to get into a stable orbit now. I just need to get the horizontal velocity. In fact, we can coast for a little bit. And actually, let me just fire that engine just a tad. Alright, good. Ditch the fairings. Okay. Deploy the radiators. How is electric charge? Electric charge is fine. Alright, let's set our maneuver node for orbit. There we go. Hold the node. "32-second bird node in 1 minute." We have 1,700 meters per second of delta V in the tank. Alright, node in 45 seconds. We want to fire at 16 seconds. Engine start. Now. If we overburn, it's fine. We just don't want to underburn. I hope I didn't miss anything. Oh, overburned just a tad, which is okay. And actually, I'm just going to keep on burning that thing. Where are we, actually? You know what? That is good. That is the direction I want to go. Kill that. We're just going to burn it until it runs out of gas. Perfect. And we have a collision with the moon. Really? Of all the... Actually, that is perfect. That is perfect. Alright, so if I'm on this thing, does this thing still have a collision with the moon? Yes, it does. Good, then that will deal with this piece of debris. It will collide with the moon, and it won't be a problem anymore. Alright, but this guy... Get that reactor on. Reactor coming up. Good. Set to prograde. Oh man, all of its maneuvers are going to have to be done using RCS. Alright. Engines are engaged. Good. That's one thing I probably could have put on here is a good, strong reaction wheel. That would have been a good idea. Oh well. Let's fire those engines. Let's just get that to a trajectory that is okay. That is a trajectory that is okay. In fact, a little bit of a gravity assist off the moon is not a bad deal. Okay, there we go. It is on its way. It is on its way. Let's see, if I were to advance time to the point where it, well, we would need to advance time to the point where it will encounter the moon. That debris is still behind me, right? Probably. We get a little bit of a bump off the moon. And now we are in interplanetary space. Okay. So, what we want to look at is the longbow. Set as target. And then I want maneuver planner, buy impulsive, create the node. We're looking at 2,500 meters per second in 55 days. Is going to be a 6-minute and 42-second burn. Not a problem. Alright, so we'll go ahead and leave this here. So we'll go ahead and leave this here. And then we will take care of this for next episode. Yeah. So I think we'll be doing all of this first, because the ELU probe maneuver is not for another 300 plus days. We should be able to get all this done in less than 300 days. Alright. So we'll stop here. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and comment, and I will see you next time.